What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the 3 of 7 podcast. I'm your host, Chad Wright. Now strap on your big boy and girl panties because we're about to dig in to all things body, soul, and spirit. Enough said. We got an awesome episode. It's actually a part 2 with Kallup and Katelynn McCoy. Man. Hey, you guys just got to listen to this one. If you haven't listened to part 1, stop what you're doing right now, go back, play part 1, and then join us here for part 2. Super powerful conversation. Listen to the very end. I promise you there's something at the end of this episode that you will not want to miss, something extremely special. So let's take care of a few housekeeping items real quick. I've been getting a lot of questions about the difference between the Proving Grounds and the basic course. Now, without really digging in and telling you guys all the details of each one of these experiences, each one of these courses of instruction, the Proving Ground and the basic course, we don't tell you guys everything about these events, these experiences that we build out, because that's part of the training, right? Is for you guys to give you guys an opportunity to show up to something that you don't know exactly what it is. There's not a lot of opportunities that you get in life, especially in, the events type industry, where you get to show up for something that you don't know exactly what it is. That's a really cool feeling. That's a cool opportunity for you to grow as a human being, for you to go into something that you don't know exactly what's going to happen, but you've had to muster the courage just to freaking show up, and you trust me enough that I'm going to deliver the value and put you in the situations that are going to force you to grow. But the difference between these two experiences, well, from a logistics standpoint, you look at the Proving Grounds, we have facilities at the Proving Grounds. So we can push a little harder physically at the Proving Ground, because then we can pull back. We can push really, really hard, and then we can pull back and be in a climate-controlled environment, a classroom, to do these after actions reports on the things that we learned out on the mission. On the basic course, you're straight up in the wilderness. So there's not the opportunity, if you pushed really, really hard, if you pushed way beyond someone's potential comfortable capabilities, there's no way to pull back in the wilderness. You are where you are, and you're not getting out of there quickly, period. So that's two differences from a facility standpoint. Now, so the training can be tailored. The training's tailored differently, and they're two totally different experiences, guys. Some of the content and the lessons are the same between the Proving Ground and between the basic course, but there are certain things that I can teach you at the Proving Grounds that I can't teach you at the basic course, and vice versa. They are equally powerful experiences, in my opinion. All right? They both are top-notch. There's nobody else doing the kind of stuff that we do with these two experiences out there. I mean, I can't think of anywhere else that you can. I can't even think of anything that's close, even in the same ballpark as what we do. Let me think about some other differences. Okay, at the Proving Grounds, you have multiple platoons that make up a troop. So at some points during the Proving Grounds, you're going to be working as a troop. So like the Proving Grounds, the course that's coming up will be 2 troop. This this course of instruction coming up is going to be limited to 24 people, so 3 8-person platoons. Sometimes you'll be working as a troop to accomplish a mission. Sometimes you'll be working and competing against each other as platoons. At the basic course, you are one platoon for the entire duration of the mission. So that's another little difference as far as the command structure goes. Look, my ultimate vision for what we do as a training company is I want to have alumni that have completed the proving grounds, completed the basic course, and then we have another experience. We've only done it one time, and it's a very, very complex experience called the finishing school. Now, once we build enough alumni that have both completed the proving grounds and the basic course, we will hand select our students for the finishing school. We'll probably only run one of those per year. It's very complex, very high risk, and the team there has total freedom of movement. So after that, I want to then have the graduates of the finishing school, I want to give them the opportunity to actually be developed as instructors. So then we would bring them back out to either the proving grounds, the basic course, and actually have them there not as instructors, but as instructors in training. Because there's a whole nother curriculum surrounding how to learn to be a teacher and how to learn to be an instructor. So we would, again, in turn, give these graduates of the finishing school the opportunity to come out. We develop them as instructors, and then they can take the things that they've learned, they can take the experiences that we've given them, and then they can go and translate it and share it within their own community. They can teach it, right? So that is my ultimate vision for us as a training company. Hopefully we'll be there in 2022. I would like to be able to run my first instructor training class for our alumni in 2022. That's where I'm at with that, guys. I hope that kind of explains to you the difference between those two experiences. The proving grounds, the 2-troop registration is open. That'll be April the 16th through the 18th. In North Georgia, Ellijay, Georgia. Again, it's limited to 24 people. If you want to sign up for that, go to the website, 307project.com, click experiences, click the proving ground. There'll be a link there on that page that you click in order to register for 2-troop. So, yeah. Oh, last thing. If you're a patron, if you're on Patreon, you have a pro code. If you want to sign up for the Proving Grounds 2-Troop, look, I posted it on Patreon. Go take that pro code, and when you sign up, enter that pro code. It's going to give you $200 off your entry fee to be a part of 2-Troop. Thank you guys on Patreon for supporting the podcast. Sorry, my phone was going off. Brooke's been calling me, all this and that. Y'all know how it is. It's Friday. I hope you guys have an awesome weekend coming up. I hope you guys enjoy this episode with Kallup and Katelynn, part 2, as we really dig into their recovery and their mission running the Trail of Tears, and also what they're doing moving forward now as professionals. Here they are, guys. All right, I got everybody's Bible verse for today. This is the Bible verse that I shared with the group this morning, and here it is. But he who is weak eats only vegetables. Enough said.
Baby.
Enough said.
That is not. No. Hold the phone. Okay, listeners. He keeps trying to do this. Everybody that comes over, because he likes to argue against veganism, but this is such a verse that he's taking out of context. It's ridiculous.
Hey, here it is. It's in the book, black and white.
Now read the whole verse.
This is Romans chapter 14, verse 3.
Paul's talking to
No, verse 2. But he who is weak eats only vegetables.
Read the verse before that.
Why? This is the verse I wanted to share.
This is when he was talking to the Jews and the Gentiles, and they were fussing with each other about who eats what, and kind of casting judgment. And that was a verse. Give me this.
Here, okay.
That was a verse. That was a. Where is it? That was a verse used. He was saying that they were judging each other like that. They were saying to each other, "You who only eat vegetables are weak. We who eat meat are strong." It was a reference to their belittling each other. It's not an actual statement that Paul made as truth.
Well, look, I'm not trying to. You guys can take this for what it is.
Help me out here, guys.
I'm not trying
help
to.
Me out.
That fiber, that overload of fiber, kind of.
Hey, we had a bunch of belly aches around here last night.
You guys are just.
I bet we've had
novice.
We've had.
I'm just joking. I try to eat more vegetables.
We've had at
Eat
least
more vegetables.
We've had at least 10 poos between the four of us this morning.
Mom and Dad had a stomach ache. We ate. Okay, so last night we ate. We had lots of meat. In your defense, I don't know why you're just talking about the veggies, and we had spinach, asparagus, broccoli, cauliflower. That's it.
Salad
with spinach.
Oh, that's spinach.
So that's not that much. And then Caleb about broke his tooth. He bit down on some birdshot in his piece of duck.
Hey,
It did break my tooth. You should see it.
Come on now, Caleb.
Okay.
hey, I'm gonna
Actually, that
tell
happened a
you.
long time ago. But
I warned y'all about that bird. Caitlin thought I was joking about
I really
that bird
did.
shot.
I thought that was a total
I wish you'd have
joke.
told me the story about the guy biting down in it, because I'd have been a lot more careful.
Oh yeah.
Chad tells the story about this man. What did you say? He got sick.
Oh,
it hurt him so bad.
Oh yeah.
Pain was so bad.
Yeah. I
What,
mean,
on his tooth, or he
yeah,
actually
he bit
swallowed
down
it?
on the shot.
he chomped down on the shot with his back teeth right in the crown of the tooth. You know, and you've got a nerve. There's nerves in your teeth,
No crap.
and y'all didn't know I was a medical professional, a dentist. amateur dentist.
Y'all know you got hair on
Was
your
you-
skin, don't you?
Is you a corpsman, Chad?
No, that's just all, just comes with life and wisdom.
And then we're starting the podcast, and I'm putting frankincense in the diffuser, and I'm like, Caitlin, smell this frankincense.
Be
and like,
healed.
I run up to her and toss a bunch of frankincense in her eyeball, and she's got to get up and go wash it out.
Yeah.
Like, welcome to the 307 podcast. Psh, right in the face.
Hey, look, man, we did a workout this morning. I'm gonna tell you right now, it was a tough workout, but I'm gonna tell you right now, that fart I let at the end,
That was tougher, wasn't it?
I'm that's the first fart I've let in years that I'm actually almost ashamed of. But see, here's what happened. It was actually strategic because I had been out front the whole workout, but Caleb was like 5 reps behind me.
Seconds behind you.
Yeah, he was seconds behind me, and I knew, man, and then he actually starts to pass me, and he passes me on the last round, and I thought, I'm gonna let this fart out, and it might choke him out or make him
Gonna hit him in the
pause.
mouth and knock him down.
Yeah, for long enough that it'd give me the jump on him. Let me ask you this, Caleb. Why did you passed me? You worked hard to pass me. You're in better shape than me right now is why you passed me, and you were putting out. And it's like, why didn't you take that victory? Why did you stop and then run it in with me?
I think that it was more important for me to slow down and to support my brother instead of going down.
Dang.
I thought about it. I did. I was like, I should just go ahead and run this out and leave him up here.
Yeah.
But nah, man, I just wanted to hang out. I was here for not to win, but to just have that community and brotherhood.
See, I wouldn't
Building that bond.
See, I wouldn't have done that.
You were trying to sneak attack, and
Now that you've given me the green light, the next time, if I'm the better man on that day, then I will not. I won't.
I'm
wait
just
on
gonna go ahead and say this: you guys were not doing your squats low enough.
Thank you. Thank you. And I was hold the phone. I was squatting more weight than both of you, and I was going.
Yeah,
all
Brooke,
the way.
I did look over and see her have the 45.
Yeah.
I knew I should have went up.
Thank you, but
You're
you're right.
amazing.
They weren't going all the way. I mean, just saying. Chad's like, do you remember when we used to play Mario Kart, and when you're driving down your little road and you shoot those turtle shells out the back to like take out your opponent?
Yep.
That's Chad with his gas.
Drop a banana peel.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. You guys did great.
Well,
Whatever.
They really didn't.
that's a commendable mindset. Very, very. There's all sort of things wrapped up in that decision. Humility, brotherhood, all those things that you just described, Caleb. So it's very commendable. Now, just to be totally honest with you, I wouldn't have done it. I mean, for me, I think it was driven into my head for so long in SEAL training, this simple statement: it pays to be a winner. It pays to be a winner. So that's always in the forefront of my mind. Now, I'm not saying that that's right or wrong. I think the decision that you made is more commendable than the decision that I would have made. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I respect you greatly for that, for the decision that you made out there. It definitely made me feel better about being out of shape. Because I knew you could beat me. But when you hung back and you ran it in with me, I was like, yeah. And then, we pushed it pretty hard up that last little pinch right there. Mm-hmm. I probably wouldn't have done that if you wouldn't have been with me.
I am a competitor, so that doesn't happen a lot with me either.
Yeah.
But I just want to take the opportunity to.
Your character, the last 48 hours, if that, has screamed like humility to me. And I love it. That's my favorite type of person to be around.
But he still ain't scared to win. I can tell that.
No, he's going out to win. That's what he's training for on a really competitive level. Obviously not. But
I think just over time too, he's learned a lot because he used to be really gung ho and just full throttle.
I still am.
Really?
But I think that, just seeing you from the first time you DNF'd in a 100-miler and just how you're learning through those failures, and just how to kind of kick back a little bit more and just kind of enjoy the experience more.
Just letting it
just
come.
Being here this weekend, we feel like we've won. Just being able to be with you guys. But I totally get what y'all are saying.
What would you have done?
Well, you didn't. Did you hear what she just said? It's not about the experience. It's about the experience. It's not about winning sometimes.
Yeah.
About enjoying
It's not
the
necessarily
experience.
about the goal as it is the journey, right?
Yeah,
and the process it takes, or the time that you're spending to get to the goal.
Exactly. Yeah. Well said. You need to learn from that, boo-boo.
Well, speaking of journeys and goals, first of all, for all you guys listening, welcome back to the 3 of 7 podcast. We got our brother Kallup and our sister Katelynn back on. Hopefully you guys listened to the first half of their story. If you haven't, go back and listen to it before you proceed with this episode. And yeah, speaking of journeys, and dude, today I've been waiting all weekend to hear about this. Kallup ran the Trail of Tears. How long? All right, this is right at 800 miles. Katelynn was his crew, his pacer, his support. She ran right at or over 400 miles of that mission with Kallup alongside of him. Powerful team. You did this. How long after you got clean did you do this? Because you told me that earlier, Kallup. It was it was pretty quick. Walk me through that, man.
So
the reasoning behind it, all that, man.
And a little history on, like, layman's terms, Trail of Tears history, because it's been a while since I've been in school. I know what it is, but...
We just hit you with like 5 questions,
Yeah,
so
sorry.
just say what you want to say.
So the Trail of Tears, they started the Indian Removal Act in 1838. And they started gathering the Choctaw, the Cherokee, the Seminole, the Creek, and there's one other tribe. I can't remember. Look it up. Google it while I'm talking.
I feel like it.
I'm just impressed you just knew all of those.
And it might be the Chickasaw. It might be the Chickasaw. Anyways, those 4 and one other tribe. And so what had happened was the Cherokee owned pretty much 7 states up until that time. And they started, well, right before that time, they started taking our land away, right? And putting us in these small communities.
Did you say Chickasaw?
Yeah.
that was the
Chickasaw.
last one he said, yeah.
Yeah. And so the Indian Removal Act basically was passed, and they were going to ship us out to Oklahoma, what was called Indian country, right? And we were going to give, these tribes were going to be given a tract of land out there. So along this journey, there was several different routes. There was a water route, and then there were several different land routes. Okay, the Binge and the northern route were the 2 most popular routes. Fast forward now till today, I'll give you some context. We do, as a tribe, along with the Cherokee Nation, who is based out of Oklahoma, we do a Indian, what's it called, baby? The RTR. Remember the Removal Bike Ride. Okay? So that's the ABCI and the Cherokee Nation coming together in remembrance and honor of our ancestors taking the northern route. And so they retrace this. So shortly after I gave my life to Christ, I began to dream again, right? Without a vision, my people perish. I hadn't had that. I hadn't had any kind of vision. I was stuck in that madness.
Did you mention it was on bikes? Did he say
It was
that?
on bike. Yeah, remember it was a removal bike ride. And so I read about this. Never really heard about it, and it's been, I think it's started back in the 80s. And I read about this in a paper about this journey that they're taking. And I was like, man, I want to do that. Like, how cool would it be?
It's a really honorable thing in our tribe. Like, there's a lot of media
historical.
Based upon
you get to do some you get to go through these different classes and learn about different stops and these historical marks and everything, and just a big long process and journey that you get to take, and it's just really it's something that it's an interview process, application, everything. You know, a lot of people, it's a competitive thing to get into this.
So you can't just decide you're going to be part of this.
No, you got to be selected.
You have to write an essay on why you want to do it, and then really, you have to pour a lot into this to try to. There's a lot of applicants that come in, and they only hand select a certain.
And
It
this
takes
is the
time
bike
and effort.
ride,
This is
right?
the bike ride.
Wow.
So I'm in jail, and I like I said, I have this idea and this dream of doing this. And in the middle, while I was in jail, I started working out. This is when my journey, and Chad and I were talking yesterday about the word discipline. My perspective on that word is a lot different than Chad's. If it wasn't me practicing discipline and learning new habits, right, and the different ways to deal with my emotions and stress and everything, I wouldn't be where I was at. So while I was in jail, I began working out all the time, like 5 days a week. I mean, I'm locked up, got this jumpsuit on, and me and a couple other guys were just starting to build a brotherhood in there, working out all the time, Wednesdays and Sundays. I'm starting to learn how to read my Bible and pray and do all these different things. And so that was one of my goals. I wrote down, I was like, I'm going to do the RTR when I get out. So fast forward 6 months later, I walk out the door and I start asking questions about doing this bike ride. start getting these big plans to do this bike ride. In the meantime, I sign up for a half Ironman, do a half Ironman 7 weeks out of jail. Complete that, which is crazy.
Barely done. You didn't even swim, did you?
I didn't never. I know. I jumped in the pool maybe 2 or 3 times.
Dang it, man.
So the whole half Ironman, the 1.2 mile swim, I'm backstroking.
Dude, that's a long swim.
Yeah.
1.2 mile swim.
I was freaking out, man. I was freaking out.
And out in the ocean.
Yeah. But so I completed that, and then I go up to the office where you apply for the RTR. And honestly, it could have crushed my hopes, you know. I walk in and I start talking to them about the application process, and I find out that you can't go on this ride if you're a convicted felon. So I was like, really zealous, you know, and passionate, and I was mad, a little ticked off because I was wanting to change the rule. That's how cool, how beneficial would this be to me in my recovery to be able to take part of this journey? And went in front of council, tried to get, advocate for getting this rule changed. And they shot me down. We're like, no, you can't, that's not going to happen. These rules were written back this day. We're not changing it, basically. So I was standing in front of council, in front of the chief, vice chief, council members on TV. And I was a little prideful, little aggravated. And I was like, look, I told him, I said, if y'all ain't going to let me ride this bike, I'll run it. And they all looked at me, scoffed, rolled their eyes. It was like, yeah, whatever. And that was just, that fueled my fire even more.
Because those people, did they know you and what you had been through?
They had seen,
Absolutely.
they had seen people come out and advocate for change and recovery and want to do something, and they all went back.
Exactly. So they're probably thinking, Kallup, man, this is just another one of his little things, and he'll be back using pretty soon.
Yeah, we've seen this before, through so many people. Like, what makes you any different?
Yeah.
Well, isn't it wonderful when you set your mind to do something and people tell you, no, you can't do it? That's exactly what they did to me when I decided I wanted to become a SEAL. And, mine was because of a heart condition, but they told me no. And essentially, I attribute that whole furnace of adversity to the reason that I actually made it through SEAL training. I don't think I would have made it had they not have told me no. Probably the same with your run, Kallup. You probably would have never been able to endure 800 miles of running if it wasn't for the fact that you were being spurred on by that, that whole situation.
Your why has to be bigger than your how, right?
Yeah.
Like that just reinforced my why.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not only did I want to do it, but then being told no, they just continued to add to my why. What was you going to say?
And eventually it transformed into something bigger. Like the whole, while you were running, you wasn't always focused on they told me that I couldn't do this, but that definitely fueled that at the beginning. And he was like, I'm doing this. And
so here I am, I start putting in all these big miles, and
we're trying to figure out how to log this thing and
how we're gonna map this out, navigate all this. And
so you're a couple weeks out of jail. You guys both had just gotten sober, recently, within a year.
We were in early recovery within a year. We were in
within
early recovery, and that was another thing too. People were like, "You don't do anything big in the first year."
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, all the NA, all the rehabs.
Yeah,
you lay low.
That goes totally against the grain.
It does.
Of what you're taught.
Yeah.
And so I started training, man. I started putting in the miles, and I was up all the time. I'd be up early in the morning on the treadmill.
Run to our. I'd go to work and then go to our substance abuse treatment classes, and here'd come Kallup, or he'd already be there jogging in one place, and he'd have all his running gear on, and he'd ran from the house to there and was gonna pick up running after the class, and he ran all the time.
She used to say, before we started dating, this guy, he's always showing out, doing push-ups in the middle of class.
You did though. I'd be like
he got to do all that now.
He would. He'd bust out in the middle of our group sessions and start trying to do push-ups.
He was trying to impress you, Kallup.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I agree. He was working on courting Kate.
Yes, I was. I was laying the foundation talking about going ginseng digging.
Dude, that's what I was about to say.
Oh, Lord.
Man was hopped up on ginseng, son.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So you guys weren't married at this point? Then?
No, we
Okay.
hadn't really even started. We were talking at the time. We wasn't like officially dating when I first started training for this.
This is a
We were
huge
friends.
undertaking for where y'all were at in your lives.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and I supported Kallup the best I knew how. I mean, and because I wanted to see other people do well, especially in our community. And a lot of times I thought he was full of it. I'm not going to try to sit here and act like I jumped on the bandwagon right off the jump. It took a little while, and I was like, you know what? But still, I was like, I know how people looked at me. I know a lot of people didn't believe that I was going to do or stop using or, start back to work and do the things that I was doing. And so I was like, I know what it's like to need that support from somebody, and so I'd get a phone call at work or something, and Kallup would be like, can you come up here for 15 minutes? I'm going in front of council and I need some people to help support me. And I would do it. I'd talk to my boss and I'd be like, look, I know how important that is to have that kind of support in your back, in your circle. So it's definitely important.
Sounds like an awesome foundation for a marriage too. Like that's
Yeah.
how y'all started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
It definitely developed into that.
Yeah, so we continued to train, and I was knocking out these 100-mile weeks, 100-plus mile weeks. I knocked out several 130-mile weeks.
How was your body reacting to that, man?
Man, I had a gut at the time.
Yeah, he was not in shape
Yeah.
like he is now.
Yeah.
you
Back
had a
then.
gut.
I did have a gut. I was still.
Not like, he was pudgy. He wasn't like.
I had some
beer
big old
belly.
love handles going on, I had just come out of jail eating freaking peanut butter and jelly sandwiches 3 times a day.
Okay.
Dude, if you're going to run 800 miles, you got to have a little reserve.
Says the twig man over here.
Twig, man. No injuries? I mean, were you able to really, were you just listening to your body and pushing?
Man, it just responded, honestly.
Yeah.
I just really think this whole thing was ordained by God, just this whole dream and how this has kind of give us the platform and catapulted us where we are today, like taking that big risk and, just consistently showing up and putting in this work. And all them naysayers most of them began to like, well, look at this resume. He's always doing this. He's always saying what he's always doing what he's talking about. Consistently.
We eventually started to get local support. And,
We did.
because like the RTR, they have a huge send off. Like a lot of locals, community members come out and celebrate them getting to start and stuff. And we did have leadership, those same council members.
Council members that scoffed and laughed at me. And,
No
They
way.
came
They
out
showed up.
His send off. And
Well, I had a big send off.
Yeah. And so it turned out.
Probably about
really
100 people, close to 100 people.
Yeah, and we had just named our organization Res Hope because we wanted to be able to spread that and
Awareness and
for recovery. and
sharing our testimony along the way. So May 14th, 2018 is when I set out.
What was the timeline from that council meeting and you going, okay, I'm gonna do this, and the May,
October, November of 17.
less than a year
Yeah.
that you had
Less
to get
than 8
ready to run
months.
800 miles.
Yeah. Less than 8 months.
Jeez, dude.
Wow, man.
That's
Yeah.
insane.
But he was definitely putting in the work. He was putting in the training.
Hey, man, I would get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and jump on my bike and I'd ride 20 miles one way to a Bible study to be there
Crazy.
at 5 a.m.
and get there early.
to get there early. Now, if I'm in a vehicle, I'll be late. But I'd show up on my bike, I'd be early.
Early. I interrupted you though. You were starting to tell us about the start line the day of.
Yeah.
And I interrupted you.
My council members, chief came out. I think the chief blessed and prayed for the journey, if I'm not mistaken. And chief's always been a big supporter of our ministry and what we're doing and just us as people. And so it was an amazing event. Family members, my son came out, my youngest son. He was proud, man. He was holding a sign of me, smiling real big, and that was cool, man. Because like I was sharing with you guys yesterday, the consequences of my actions, those relationships are pretty broken, and I cherish those little moments that we get to have together.
Were you nervous on the start line? Like where was your head at?
I wasn't, honestly. I was gung ho still. I was ready to get it. Once I got down the road and there's no crowd, there's nobody cheering you on, and you're running on the main road. You're running on this Highway 19 pretty much, which is pretty busy and dangerous. I got out there, man. The second day I was running through the Nantahala Gorge.
Ooh.
And it was bad. There's big trucks coming through there and everything. And
That's a bad road, man.
This is stupid. I was like, who cares? Nobody cares what I'm doing. And I started doubting myself. And I was like, no, you've put in way too much work. Like people are looking towards you as a beacon of light and hope. And, I just continued. I mean, that's the conversation I had so many times through those first few days. And Katelynn came out and ran with me the third day.
Yeah, I was still working.
Stayed in a campground. Yeah.
Okay. Where did it start? What was the route? Like where?
I took the binge route.
Okay, what is that?
The binge route basically runs through the middle
Of the country?
Runs through. Okay, so you start from Cherokee and you're going
Cherokee, North Carolina.
Cherokee, North Carolina, and you're going down towards Bryson City, down towards Lake Fontana. You cut through the gorge and you head towards Murphy, North Carolina. Murphy, you cut over into Tennessee, and that's Tellico Plains that you cut over and drop into there. From there, you start heading down to Chattanooga, and that's where I ran. From Cherokee, basically, that route to Chattanooga. Then we jumped in a vehicle and drove down to Fort Payne, Alabama. Right? We had to drive some of it. Drove to Fort Payne, Alabama, and there was a historical mark right there because that's where the trek west started. That's where they had a roundup camp. And so we got to go and meet the people there that kind of run that historical site and talk to them, and they were just really interested in my story, my journey. And those people still follow me on social media, and it's so just getting to build relationships along the way.
Dude, I want to dig back in real quick to something that you mentioned a minute ago, and it's that feeling of nobody cares what I'm doing. And, I can't tell you how many times I've had that exact same feeling anytime you're embarking on a long journey or on a mission where, when you're nice and comfy before the hard part starts, you can see that in the long run there's going to be a return on this. Like this is going to make a tremendous impact. But when you're in the midst of the battle, you're in the midst of the mission, I've had those same thoughts. Man, nobody cares. Look, ain't nobody around me. Don't nobody know what I'm doing. Nobody cares what I'm doing. Man, when you had those thoughts, Caleb, you said you had those multiple times throughout. What kept you going, man?
A lot of times, man, I think back on my dad and him speaking. I feel like it was God speaking through my dad and him saying, "You're going to do great things for our family, for our community." Man, that's just stuck with me. My dad's literally at the very end of his life, and he says that. I hold that close to my heart.
Yeah.
Finishing my 100-mile race at Georgia Jewel, I held those words. I dedicated that race to my dad. Like, that has got me through so much. I think we think of the Word of God a lot of times as just being the Bible, but I think God speaks a lot of different ways and words to us. And that was a word from the Lord. And that's something I cherish, man. That right there, and then just thinking back on my why, how it was continuing to be strengthened.
Yeah.
Having this dream and this hope, because that whenever you have that hope and you hold on to that, you can overcome any amount of darkness. Hope deferred makes the heart sick, but a longing fulfilled is a tree of life. this is something that I'd longed for so long, you know, wanting to be a part of something bigger than myself, to give back, to give back and inspire a community, man, that I had destroyed for so long. You know, that was like a form of reparation for me. That was a way of making amends to so many people that I had hurt, to be successful, right? Make a living amends and do something good finally.
Yep.
All those things, man. It's just, honestly, it's just being revealed to me right now. Man, that just kept me pushing through those hard days. You know, at first it was, you know, I think 21 miles, and the second day was 33 miles, and the third day was 20-something miles. And this is a guy who hadn't been running, man. Only time I ran was from the police, literally.
Yeah.
And running dope, you know, just. So I was doing something, man, that I totally had to rely on God for. If that's not faith, man, I don't know what is. If that don't build and strengthen your faith, if you're not stepping into something that scares you, man, you're missing. You know what? You're missing the opportunity to experience God's presence and power.
100%.
You know?
You have to pull from those places, I feel like. Because there was a lot of days when it was just, we had a lot of moments throughout that journey where, man, it was incredible, like the conversation or the people we encountered. But there was a lot of days when you, like you said, you're looking around and you're like, nobody's here, nobody's looking. Why the heck am I doing this? And so just like Kallup said, you have to pull from somewhere.
Yeah, my mom was in a vehicle, followed me along the way.
Aww.
Okay. So
that's amazing.
It was cool, man. You know, and Katelynn came out. At first, she didn't know if she was going to be able to. And she came out a couple of days.
That was really cool too. Like, I was in a recovery work-based program, and my boss, he was like, you know what, this is recovery related. I believe in what you guys are doing. Kurt, he really did. He was like, I really think that you guys are going to do some great things. And he was like, of course you can go. I was just scared to ask to begin with, because that's a long time to ask off from work.
Yeah.
But he supported it, you know?
Yeah.
So finally I got the green light.
And then
to join.
When you got that green light, were you basically at that point part of his crew full time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So like 4 days in was when the first time, like, I couldn't deny God's protection and anointing on this journey. The fourth day in, it's getting dark, and we're on something called the Joe Brown Highway. It's not a highway. It's a gravel road. It's over a huge mountain, and it drops you from Murphy into Tennessee, Tellico Plains. And there was a fork in the road, and I should have took a right, and I took a left. And so I go down this road, and I'm about probably 3 or 4 miles out of the way before I realize, oh, crap, I went the wrong way. So I turn back around and start coming back out of here. And meanwhile, my mom's like freaking out because I should have been hitting my mark, my mileage, you know, and I'm not there. So she's running up and down the road trying to find me. And as I'm coming out, man, I start freaking out again. And that inner critic that we all have, you know, it starts attacking me. And it's telling me, you know, just nobody cares, you know, nobody's looking. You just need to go home. Like, you ran far enough, all these things, right? And so I stop in the middle of the road, and it's like dusky dark. And I stop in the middle of the road, and I'm like, I just start praying. God, help me. I just need your strength right now and your peace. And I open my eyes back up, like, there's a huge copperhead laying in front of me. If I wouldn't have stopped and started praying, I'd have stepped right on this copperhead. It was literally, I got a picture of my phone still, like,
and
just
Kallup,
a couple of feet away.
Kallup is terrified of snakes.
Yeah.
Freaked me out, man. And it was already raised up, ready to strike. And I knew right at the end, like, man, that's amazing how that just happened.
Yeah.
And so anyways, I come back out of there. There's a guy that shows up out of nowhere in a white van with no seats in the back.
Oh, no.
There's no house around or nothing.
Candy or puppies?
He comes out. He's like, hey, I got some snacks.
Oh, gosh.
I got some ice cream. You want some ice cream?
I'm not kidding, man. This is crazy.
You could probably entice Kallup with some snacks.
Did he have all his teeth?
I couldn't tell. It was
Oh,
dark,
no,
really.
No.
So I see in the van, he's got the driver's seat and passenger seat, and there's nothing in the back.
Stranger danger.
And so he's got these cold waters and snacks, and I'm running out in the woods, and there's nobody around. Like, how did you even know I was out here?
Yeah.
And about that time, my mom comes flying down the road, and he takes off. Like, it was just, it was strange, man. And my mom, she like cuts him off, and I can hear her right up the road 100 yards away. And she's like, have you seen a man running? And he's like, oh, yeah, he's right there. And he just whips on by her and takes off. So anyways, Katelynn came that night and stayed the night in the cabin. And, we just picked up, and I started doing interviews. I had done an interview the day before that with a radio station in Murphy, and then I'd done an interview with Knoxville News. So we started getting some regional coverage, talking about the opioid epidemic and the overdoses and everything. And that's another thing that we were shooting for, just being able to share a story of people that's struggling, and hurting, and like there's a way out. You know what I'm saying? And
you talk about you finally getting some coverage, you finally getting to share your message and to share the things that God's put on your heart to advocate for and to fight for. But look what it took to get you to that point.
Yeah.
That you finally started to generate some traction and get people, get an audience, basically. Man, it took months and months and thousands of miles of showing up consistently every single day to get you to that point, man.
Yeah.
And that's so that right there, that's the reason that most people fail. In business, that's the reason that most people fail to if they've got a calling, if they've got something on their heart, is because they want the immediate response. They think, oh man, I have a wonderful calling. I'm trying to share a great message that'll help my fellow humans or my community. And, they think that they can just start putting it out and people are automatically going to be interested in what they have to say. And that's not the way it works, man.
No.
That's we've been, that's our story. We've been doing this right here, this podcast for a year and a half now. And it's just now getting to the point where it's like, all right, man, we're really, really reaching some people. We're really generating great content. And, that's the way it works.
Yeah.
That's the process.
That book I'm reading right now, that James Clear, Atomic Habits, he talks about that. And he draws it on a graph. And he talks about what you're talking about, but he also talks about rabbit hole. We'll go back. He talks about how growth works, even if you're like setting a New Year's resolution to get healthy or start running or something. And he was like, the growth at first doesn't hardly grow at all. Like, you're going up at such a small angle. And like you said, that's what most people, but there is a point in everything where you're going to have exponential growth, but it takes a long time to get there.
Yep.
And like you said, it takes consistency.
Yeah.
I don't know. His illustration, the visual in his book is awesome.
Yeah.
It's like,
This is Caleb's, this is Caleb's story too. I mean, it just showing up consistently, and he should not have been the guy that was showing up consistently.
No.
Because of what he had just been through physically and mentally. That's what makes his story, I think, so amazing, is the fact that he did do that.
Yeah. I mean, I should have been, by the people that were telling me and kind of talking to me about, you don't need to do anything this big. Oh, you need to continue to go to your classes and your therapy, and don't put a lot of pressure on yourself, right? And I'm just a firm believer that, if it doesn't scare you and it doesn't challenge you, it's not worthy of you, and finding that passion, right? And nothing God has called us to do is going to be outside of what he's empowered us to perform. Whatever he's already put on the inside of you, you already contain what it's going to take, right? And it's going to take that consistency. It's going to take a community, positive and healthy relationships to help you get there. But definitely, he's not going to put something on us that he's not already given you the grace to achieve. And so, that's just something I had to remind myself of too. I've thought that this was a dream straight from the Lord. So I just continued to trust that throughout this journey.
Hey guys, let's take. Oh, you got a question?
Just it'll be quick.
All right.
Yeah, 2 questions.
2 questions.
Come on.
Stop. You're making me forget my question. Oh no. Okay, how long did it take? Real quick. You don't have to be. How long total did it take you?
Oh, we're gonna get to the end of this story.
But I want perspective when he's saying the 4th day in, I was, the monotony. Like, I want perspective now. Like, how many days did it take you? So when we're talking about it, I can refer back.
Okay.
Okay, he was only halfway
We
there.
We ran 40 days total.
Holy
With rest days, it was 46.
So it's 40 days running.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With rest days peppered in there.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm done.
Yeah.
I wanted to
Very
talk
pivotal.
about
Now, the next significant thing that happened was my aunt passing away from drug-related death.
All right,
Oh,
we're gonna talk about
cliffhanger.
that. We're gonna talk about that and a bunch of other things
and revisit the pedophile and the snake.
after we take a quick break. Hey guys, have I told you about my bushcraft necklace from Wazoo Survival Gear? Well, you need to get you one because it's a really sharp piece of gear that you can wear around your neck every day. That's what I do. And it gives you the capabilities to start a fire in any weather condition, in any temperature, in any scenario. And fire is very important to your survival as a human being. If you find yourself in a tight spot, right? We can cook over it. We can get warm from it. We can purify water over it. There's a lot of things that we can do with fire. And Wazoo Survival Gear makes products that allow us to have that capability anytime, any place, anywhere. Guys, tools increase your capability. More capability gives you more options. More options gives you the freedom to choose where you go, where you explore, the things you do. That's where Wazoo Survival Gear comes in. It's the perfect melding of form and function that allows you to build a wide variety of tools into your everyday wear. This stuff is awesome, guys. I've been using Wazoo Survival Gear products for well over a year now. Every time we go out on the basic course, every time I'm stepping off on a mission, and a lot of their products are just with me day in and day out, like my bushcraft necklace, like my cash cap, just going through regular everyday life. They're an awesome company, 100% made in America. Awesome dudes, Dustin and Nick. You've probably heard them. They've done an episode on the 3 of 7 podcast. Go give them some support, man, at wazoosurvivalgear.com. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. As a matter of fact, I've attached a link to their website in the show notes of this episode, a special link for you guys. When you go and place your order with Wazoo, they've given us a pro code that's going to give you 20% off your order. The pro code is the number 3 of the number 7, all caps. That's the best deal you're going to find on Wazoo Survival Gear products anywhere. They asked me how I wanted to split this up. I could get 10% back on the purchases that you guys made using this pro code, and y'all could get 10% off. I said, no, give the customer 20% off. Give the podcast listener 20% off because you guys have rewarded me by showing up and listening to this show. So I want you to have the full discount. This company doesn't put their stuff on sale because this stuff is all handmade. And yeah, it's not stuff that goes on sale or expires. So it's a great deal. Go check them out, wazoosurvivalgear.com. Follow them on Instagram at Wazoo Survival Gear. Thanks a lot, guys. Enough said. Talk about ADD, David Jr. over here.
Look, Dad can't multitask. That's the difference between me and him. I am ADD, but I can multitask.
Okay. All right. Well, we're back live on the 3 of 7 podcast after a short break here. Katelynn had to stretch her legs. I had to hit the head. Brooks cleaning her face. I'll tell you, it's just wild around here this morning. But let's get back to the story. Did you have a question, Biscuit?
I wanted to hear rock bottom, like if there was a rock bottom.
On this journey?
Yeah, but first, Katelynn reminded you to talk about something that
Yeah,
was significant.
The send-off.
Yeah.
The day that I left from Gadua, it is so my brother showed up, and my brother lives above me. He's 20 years older than me. It's my half brother through our dad, and man, I just I was constantly hurting my family, you know. And the fact that he showed up, I didn't expect him to be there, but he showed up, and I got locked when I was in the hospital one time after an overdose. Somebody broke into my house, stole a bunch of stuff, and also stole my dad's urn with his ashes in it. And we had given them to my mom, my sisters, and my brother. So I didn't have anything of my dad anymore. And my brother shows up, and he brings his urn. And he says, "I want you to carry this with you. It's Dad." And he's like, "Keep it in your bag, you know." And I always remember that he's with you. He's on right on your back the whole time. And that was, man, that just tore me up,
that
man.
stayed in his pack the entire time.
Yeah.
No kidding, bro.
Dude.
And that started our mending our relationship. The fact that he showed up and supported me. And now he's doing reconstruction on a recovery house, but that's another
wasn't
story.
speaking to you.
He wasn't speaking to me, no.
But previous to the race day starting,
Yes.
or
Yeah.
the run.
We had exchanged maybe a hello here and there, but it was not anything other than that.
That's wild.
And he showed up that day. He gave me a big hug and talked about how proud he was of me and gave me Dad's ashes. So there was another part of my why, you know?
Yeah.
I had my dad with me.
Yeah.
And like I was sharing yesterday, that was a huge part of why I wanted to kill myself, because of how much pain I caused my dad. So, yeah, my dad was with me, and, you know, here we are 4 days in, and about to get picked up by a strange man and about to get bit by a snake, and we're starting to do interviews, and we're riding this high, you know, hitting this mountaintop. And a few days later, probably about a week later, we run through Alabama, run through Lake Gunnersville, get another interview through there, start heading into Tennessee, stay with some friends in Tennessee that are enrolled members, and we know my family, and get the call at 3 a.m. My mom gets a call. She wakes me up, and she says, "Your aunt just died, her sister." And my aunt had endocarditis, which is a heart infection from IV drug use. So that's what killed her. And I had a choice. I had a decision right then. I could go back for the funeral, stop this journey, which would have been admirable, but, you know, there was no right answer. There was no wrong answer. Whichever way I chose to go would have been the thing to do. But, you know, talking to Katelynn, talking to my mom, she was just like, "Your Aunt Annie would want you to finish this journey." She's like, "You need to stay." And I dealt with that pain and that grief. I've ran how many days in a row?
8 days.
8 days in a row. No race days, and I was knocking out a lot of 30-mile days.
Yeah, he was just in this whole other person, and I knew like a lot of, and honestly, he had a whole lot of time to think during those 8 days too, because his mom went back, and she had to do a lot of like planning the funeral and stuff, and so I had to drive the truck and follow him, and he had all our gear and support
Coolers
stuff
and food and stuff.
So like I wasn't really pacing him yet, you know. I was just driving the crewing him, and so he was out there still just on his own until
plugging
you know,
away.
he'd run and we'd go on ahead a few
4
miles,
or 5 miles.
Yeah.
and that's a good minute to just to think and just reflect. And
So in the midst of this happening, I get a message on Facebook Messenger from a woman who's following us in Texas, and she says, "Can I call you?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." She's like, "I got something I need to share with you." So she gives me a call. She's talking to me. She's like, "Look, you may think I'm crazy, but I got to share this." She said, "I feel like I had a dream and a vision that every step on that you're running, that these chains are breaking off of you. You got weighted down in chains, but you're getting stronger, and these chains are breaking off of you with every step." And I was like, oh, that's crazy. Thanks for sharing. I don't know what to do with that.
Never met this woman.
Yeah. So a day or two later, Katelynn is on the side of the road waiting on me, right?
Yeah, and I got bored.
She got bored, and so you're out running. Right?
I was trying to get my steps in, too, while I would be waiting on him.
And you tell this part, because that's the one, you're the one.
Well, I run out this stretch of road waiting on him, and I keep going out, and I never wanted to miss him because, like, he wanted to just get in and go back out so he could get done and rest, and so I tried to be there to get his waters and all that stuff. So I'm running out, and I'm like, keep telling myself, like, all right, you need to turn around and get back. And I was like, no, I'm gonna keep going a little bit further. And when I finally did turn around, or like I stopped, and I was like, all right, now's the time, you got to get back because he should be coming. And I stopped and I looked down, and there was this broken piece of chain laying there, and I was like, and then it came back to me what that woman shared. I was like, that's crazy, so I took a picture of it.
She didn't pick this one up.
I didn't pick it up, but I come running back through, and that just kept turning in my head, like, that's so wild. This woman just shared this crazy dream with us, and here I just seen a broken chain and come on through. And when Kallup gets there, I show him the picture, and we're talking about it, and that just kind of set up throughout the rest of the journey. Like,
and then a few days after that, after I ran those 8 days, rested, and then I was like, you know what, we're gonna do a big day today. And I was like, we'll shoot for 50 miles. And Katelynn and I ran. My mom was back out at this time.
Okay.
So Katelynn was running with me that day. Katelynn covered 36 miles. I done 49.
Holy crap.
And right at the end of the night, we're coming. We got maybe a mile or two left. We're at the back of the truck. We're drinking. We're eating, hanging out, talking. It's like 11 o'clock. And pull over on the side of the road, just a random spot. And was it you?
Yeah.
Katelynn like jumps back or hollers. And there it is, a broken chain link where we're stopped on the side of the road.
It's nighttime, and I don't know why I was looking down, but I looked down and I shined my
I thought it was a snake again. She screams and hollers, and it's another broken chain link.
Look, and so we picked that one up because I'm pretty sure like we were exhausted, and then just like
we were hurting that day.
Contemplating on just throwing in the towel, but he had set, wasn't it? There's a reason why you was running. I feel like it was 48 or something.
For Annie's, how many years she lived.
Yeah.
It was 48.
Yeah.
It was 48.
And so like when we seen that chain, it just kind of like lifted our spirits up a little bit more.
We was able to finish, knock out the rest of the miles.
Because then we were trying to do it before 12.
Yeah,
I remember
before the day was out.
And so we picked that one up, and I told Kallup, I was like, if we continue to see these broken chain links, we got to start picking these up and keeping them with us.
So we're just continuing to track on and push through. We go back up north through Tennessee, and we go into Kentucky. Got to hang out with people in Mayfield, Kentucky, and just got to speak at a church up there, a big church, share my testimony, which they don't never do. I had to go back in the back and meet with the leadership and the pastors and everything, and we had met these guys at a recovery event. And so that was his church he was going to at the time. So he hooked us up with the leadership, and we got to go and speak, and it was several hundred people there.
Nice.
And
that was cool too, because people started pouring into what we were doing, or like, but it was just the hospitality that
got us a room.
We were, and throughout different points, like people, like when we hit Tennessee, our buddies was like, you need to stay here, and so that was like a blessing to us to lay, in a good bed, or, just to have, they would cook us a meal, or, things like that. We weren't having to eat tuna and fruit all day, and but
this thing with the breaking chains. By the way, that's the title of this episode, Breaking Chains. It's interesting to me because I think you'll have a certain percentage of people that do listen to this episode and they think, well, that's coincidence. And so many people now in society want to blame things on coincidence, and they think that, if they, in a way, if God's trying to show them something or they almost expect like the heavens to split and like a white dove to descend upon them, and like some kind of crazy thing, man. But I think what you have to keep in mind is God, the God that we worship. He's the God of the natural and the supernatural. So yes, He will put simple things in front of you in your life, and you can either take those and draw strength from them and see the messaging in them and see God speaking to you through those things, or you can just brush it off as coincidence, right? It's your loss if you brush it off as coincidence.
Exactly.
I mean, it's very, and guys, I'm not saying to take this to the extreme, right? But when you have something as significant as you guys had an experience like that of a lady calling you and basically speaking this message into your journey. Now she could have just as likely been a crazy woman, but it sounds like there was probably something to it. And then you start noticing these things along the way. You can't just, for me, it's better to take that and pull the strength out of it. See that the message is legitimate instead of just saying, oh, it's coincidence,
Mm-hmm. And here's the thing, man, the whole skepticism, I understand, but at the same time, like, when people, like you said, want to explain things away, we didn't see any broken chains other than these like times. That's the only time we ever seen them. Like these random, critical times in this journey. Boom, there would be one. We're standing over top of one. And the third one happened in Missouri. We left Kentucky.
Misery.
It's 110
misery.
degrees. It was brutal out there.
It was hot.
And,
even under the shade, it was hot.
That started getting pretty tough then. It was tough the whole time, but it was like just a different kind of tough. And I'm coming down the road, and I'm listening to my dad and I used to listen to Conway Twitty all the time together. That's my job.
Mm-hmm.
I love that song. So I'm listening to this. I got my speakers on my bag. They're playing Conway Twitty, and here I am thinking about my dad, and I'm just praising God. I'm out here in the middle of nowhere, running by myself, and
Pretty sure you were boo-hooing, baby.
I was laughing, I was crying, just all sorts of emotions. And so I look over to my right, and there's a barn there and a business, and it's McCoy's. I can't remember, construction or something. My dad was a carpenter. I was like, oh man, that's cool. Here I am listening to this song. Here's this sign.
Mm-hmm.
Here's McCoy's. And I'm like, I take a picture of it, turn around, boom, there's a broken chain right in front of me, like in the front of this sign. You know what I'm saying? And I'm listening to this song. And it was just, man, it was beautiful. It was amazing. Mm-hmm. And it just continued to help me heal, and to develop more trust in this process and lean on God and just continue to push forward. I said, all right, God, let's go. Let's keep moving.
Mm-hmm.
And, we went on into Arkansas after that, got a little interview in Fayetteville, was preparing for the end of our journey, had a friend come out and support us. And this is the last time we was coming into, it's called Alden Hill, into Tahlequah, Oklahoma. So we go from Fayetteville into what was the town right before we got into Arkansas? It was Fayetteville into Oklahoma. Yeah. And we had a friend come out who's riding a bicycle, right?
Oh,
and
yeah,
we had a girl. So everybody's preparing for us to finish this thing.
Yeah.
We got friends that are living out in Tahlequah, Oklahoma. That are, what was the name of that place that we finished at? Heritage Center, I think it was.
The Heritage Center.
So they got the chief of the United Gadua Band there, council members, chief of Cherokee Nation there, just a bunch of people from the community. They had a running club there waiting on us to prepare to run the last few miles with us. Just everybody's coming around to watch us finish this journey. And so our friend who's on the bike, he's riding while we're running. I had a girl reach out to me who was watching this journey along the way, and it's like, hey, I'm really scared, but I want to come out and run with you. And we're like, come on. We'll meet you. We told her where to meet us at. She gets out. She's running with us, and Christine is her name. And so we're running with, Samantha came with us.
She ran quite a bit with us.
18 miles. A girl had never ran, I think, over 10 miles. I think come out and she put in 20 something. I think that day.
Wow.
So, anyways, they come out running with us, right? And we're witnessing, sharing our testimony with Christina. and we're coming up the road, and she's got all kinds of questions, and we're coming up Alden Hill. Right, it's the last hill before you top and get ready. Like within a couple miles, we're finishing. And so our friend Richie, he's
a youth pastor.
He's a youth pastor. He's on fire. He's sharing the gospel. He's getting, just talking to this girl, and she's like starting just the Holy Spirit's just starting to come in, and just wreck her and like convicting her, and you know what I'm saying? Like you can see her begin to have interest, right, in hearing this message and everything. And so Richie's sharing with her as we're coming up the hill, and he's on a brand new bicycle, man. And so he's pedaling, this chain just snaps. Like it's another broken chain, right?
His bike
just snaps on the bike, and Christina's crying like it's just a huge climatic experience, And she gives her life. We're praying. She gives her life to the Lord on the side of the road, man, on the interstate.
We're all like, everyone's expecting to see us come up over that hill running, and we're all just like over top of her, just praying with her and
you had more important business come up.
And there were several times along this journey whenever we were steadfast trying to just go through the motions, but then we finally was like, hey, like we need to start having conversations. And we had some pretty significant conversations. When we felt pulled, we'd just stop and start sharing with somebody on the side that we seen walking.
Yeah.
Or when we were having breakfast or getting ready, someone in the parking lot, we would have a conversation with them, and it turns out their cousin or their son or some way they'd be like, you know what, I'm struggling with that too, or my family member's struggling with that too, and we'd get to pray. If it was nothing more than to just pray with them, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Dude.
Hey, go ahead, baby.
How often or did you have a new perspective on what your ancestors went through? Like, did you have moments where you could kind of see how awful that would have been on foot for children and women and elderly? And and
they weren't on a paved road.
Yeah.
And it was wintertime whenever this was happening. Like it was
had to cross the Mississippi.
And
yeah. They had a ferry. They had a ferry, but then when they got to the other side, it's swampland.
Yeah.
So they had to walk through the swampland in the middle of the winter. And then there's one part in Arkansas. It's the only county in the United States that has 5 named rivers. And we found out that the ferry of those rivers wouldn't carry Native Americans. So they would, be paid to carry everybody else, but when Native Americans showed up, they're like, no, we're not, you're going to have to walk through this. And so they had to cross all 5 of those rivers on foot. Elderly, kids, everybody.
And the elderly, they're not going to make that. Most older people, they're just walking until they can't walk anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. And gosh,
and if they tried to stop, they were beaten.
Yeah.
It was not just like, all right, guys, we're going to go on this walk, this march out here. Like you were beaten if you tried to stop or if you tried to rest. And yeah, it was really emotional to whenever we would reach certain points and just to stand there. And I think, was it in Kentucky, at one of the ferry crossings? I still reflect back on that and just
at the Mississippi River.
Yeah.
We went down there into water. Yeah.
Just to know what our ancestors had to go through being forced out of here. And we really felt we could reflect back on on the oppression and how hard, what survivors that they were, the ones that did make it out there. But there was a point, I'm pretty sure when we reached Arkansas, when it kind of like Kallup started to have this transition in his thinking as far as I don't want to keep thinking about the oppression. I want to focus on the resiliency of our people and how we don't have to continue to view ourselves as oppressed, you know, and just
victors,
and looking at the hope,
overcomers.
Yeah.
And I've seen you with you two, you catch yourselves in doing that exact behavior, thinking about, like, you've caught her and caught yourself talking about working out or something. You don't allow each other to say, how do I say that? Like, you want to focus on, you guys know what I'm saying? I'm trying to think of a good example. Like earlier, I think your leg was hurting because you have a metal rod in your leg.
Yeah.
And Caleb stopped you from talking about it and was like, no, we're going to kill this workout. And it's the same thing that you're doing. You're not focusing on the hardship. You're focusing on how tough your people were.
Power of life and death, right?
Well, you guys are very self-aware, very much so. And, you know, that's a huge strength of you guys. I would encourage you to just maintain that path because it's a very unique thing, how self-aware you guys are, even going back to the conversation tomorrow or yesterday that we had, you know, all through that. And it's a huge strength. I want to know how this mission, this journey, how you guys' relationship developed throughout the journey, because here now you've got this beautiful young girl, Katelynn, showing up. She's there supporting you, running with you every day, but you guys weren't in a intimate or relationship prior to. How did y'all's relationship develop through that, and what was y'all's relationship like at the end?
Well, before, when I first started talking about doing this journey and everything, started training, we were friends.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we were friends before anything. I would actually talk to her about other girls that I was talking to and everything, and she was always like, "Why are you telling me all this?" Well, I mean, she's my friend, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, and so that's kind of how we started out, just being supportive of one another. And I loved how she was passionate, like in our classes and stuff that we were doing. She was the only female that would like take charge and command. So like that was attractive to me, to see a female stepping up and being a leader and finding her voice and being empowered. And I was drawn towards that because I could relate to that.
Mm-hmm.
And it just started to grow from there, you know, and throughout our journey, seeing, we all get, I think a lot of times, especially like when we first start dating somebody, we want to get dressed up. We want to put on our face. We want to go out to dinner. But
you couldn't do that.
We were, man, at our lowest. This is the ugly moments, man.
Yeah.
That's how you really know if you're meant for somebody.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, go to their house, hang out with their family, see how they are with around their siblings or around whoever, their cousins, and she was always around that, you know. And it just continued to build in the jail. On top of that, like those real raw moments and conversations and those challenging times, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. There were, throughout the run and the journey, I started to believe in myself more and find more of my self-confidence, and just to realize like how important support people can be on something like this, you know. And there were some days where Kallup didn't want to do it. Mm-hmm. Kallup did not want to get out there and do it, but you know, and I had to, like, because honestly, if it was up to his mom, she would have packed him up and been like, just get in the truck, come on, we're gonna go back home. Because that's a mama, you know. It's hard to see your children suffer and things like that. I mean, she's a lot better about it now, but just some of those days I was like, come on, we got to do this.
I was hurting, man. My hips were killing me.
And even if it meant walking, I'd be like, and we're still doing it when I'm pacing you and doing all the things that we do. But it strengthened our relationship, and especially spiritually. I mean, there was a lot of different conversations that we had along that journey, just about God and just about life and different experiences. And honestly, we probably learned a lot more about each other than it probably would have taken a lot longer for us to learn those things, you know, like over time.
Mm-hmm.
We've been laying on the couch watching a movie, you know what I'm saying? Or we go to dinner. Like, how much do you really know about somebody? because the layers aren't peeled back.
No, man. That's what I'm saying. What a way to get to know your future spouse. I mean, toward the end, did you guys know that y'all were going to be together as a married couple, or was it still kind of a question mark?
Biscuit is digging the romance of this story. You are digging into the romance.
I'm just interested.
I knew.
Okay.
I knew God started landing on my heart,
Literally.
Yeah. That I needed to just continue to pour into this relationship, right? And the deeper that we got into this relationship, I knew, like, you need to marry this woman.
Yeah.
Who's going to freaking never, I mean, got the broke back and the shattered leg, yet she's going to get out of her comfort zone and run beside you? You ain't going to find that. You know what I'm saying? Like we was talking about a few minutes ago when they were running down the hill. We got some strong women. We've been blessed with some strong women. And seeing all the things that I've seen, I want to break that, man. I want to have a prosperous, beautiful marriage. And all of those experiences have added to my why. That's concrete. That's cemented, man. I love her, like just seeing her being with me at my deepest, darkest moments where I didn't believe myself. Sometimes I didn't think I could do it, but she was like, "Come on, baby. You got this. Get up. Come on."
What about you, Katelynn? What did you know? Like, at one point, did you know that or want to date him halfway through that, or at any point?
We had officially.
Yeah, when we first started, we were dating. But as far as marriage goes, by the end of it, I know there's a little joke in the family that that I chased him halfway across the USA, so you better marry that woman. I wasn't letting him get away from me.
I was thinking the same thing, man.
That's awesome.
And I mean, I knew, but I waited. Waited until he was ready, because I know there's a lot of you go back to those things that you're taught in early recovery. You shouldn't even be in a relationship in the first year of recovery. And I mean, you just got to live and learn and grow from whatever comes your way. And but I did, especially by the end of it. I knew, I was like, this is to me, that's what marriage is you work hard for your relationship. You work hard to support one another, and you may not always see eye to eye, but you communicate. And I mean, if you can do something like that together, then I'm sure we can tackle
anything.
Marriage.
Yeah, that's a very good description of marriage, Katelynn. You talk about you work hard for your relationship, you fight for your marriage, you take quitting off the table, you do all of those things. It's not just a walk in the park, man. It takes effort the whole way. And sometimes for some people, the first year or two, it may seem like it's effortless and it's all pleasure, right? And it's all bliss. But there I think comes a point for every couple where that's no longer the situation you find yourself in, and I think that's when most people just throw it out the window. So that's solid, man.
You're always going to be tested. I mean, like your why will be tested, your resolve will be tested, no matter what it is.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
100%. All right, guys, let's take a little break. I think we got the stoves here. We'll be back at you here in just a minute to talk about the finish line of this mission, and also about Res Hope. I want to dig into that, the mission behind it, the why behind it, and what you guys got going on with that. This episode of the 3 of 7 podcast is brought to you by Exoskin. Hey, man, Exoskin, it's fitness apparel, right? Socks, shorts, shirts, arm sleeves, beanies. They've got a whole lineup. They can cover you from head to toe. I've been using Exoskin now for probably 3 years. And look, I use their products exclusively for ultra running, for training, everything that I do. I will only put Exoskin socks on my feet. I prefer their toe socks. They are hands down the best on the market. Everything that they make is American made. And the technology behind the fabrics that they use is second to none. They've actually designed fabrics that channel moisture and sweat away from your skin, that help prevent chafing, helps prevent discomfort. These things are amazing, everything from head to toe. I love the compression shorts, the short ones. The only good-looking thing on me, really, in my opinion, is my legs. So I always get the short shorts so I can show off my quads a little bit. It's never failed me. So I want you guys to just give Exoskin a try. Look, you get what you pay for. This is a company that stands behind their products because they know that they work and they've been tested out on the battlefield of life. The website is exoskin.us. That's XOSKIN.us. Give them a follow on Instagram at exoskin.usa. I'll attach the website, the show notes, and the pro code that they give to us as 3 of 7 podcast listeners. Yeah, we get a discount on all their stuff. So, Exoskin, thanks for always supporting me from day one of my journey as an ultra runner. Thanks for pouring into creating the best products on the market. And thank you for supporting the 3 of 7 podcast since the beginning. Katelynn, get back up to your mic. We're live. Oh. We're back live on the 3 of 7 podcast, man.
Kick back.
Uh-huh.
One of the bad parts about doing a podcast on a couch.
Well,
you get comfy.
I'm pretty attentive. I'm glad I'm comfortable.
Yeah,
it helped my creative juices flow.
It's really, there's good and bad because we just had to take a break because we just had stoves delivered, and it's like, you know, the dogs might start barking or something like that, but you are comfortable, and it's like, this is where we eat, this is where we hang out, so it's good and bad, I guess. But hey, I'm just thankful to be here.
Amen, brother.
Man, I gotta, you know, Callup and Katelynn have shared quite a bit about this journey on the Trail of Tears, and we kind of ended up right there, like you said, right as you guys were about to crest that last hill that's going to lead you down into the finish line. You guys talked about what happened there. Now, as you guys move forward and you crested that hill and you're making your way to the finish line and eventually reaching your destination, I guess is what this is more of a journey run. I guess it's more of you're reaching your destination. I want to hear that story of it all culminating. You know?
Well, there was a huge significance to that day because it's my birthday.
Did
June
you plan
28th.
that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I had planned to finish on my birthday, and it's my mom's birthday and my grandma's birthday, my mom's mom. We all have 3 generations on the same day.
Are you serious,
Yeah.
man? Holy
And the Guinness record for that, most generations on the same day, is 4. My sons were born on June 26th, so 2 days away, and then my youngest son was June 29th, 1 day away.
Not planned.
Not
Of
planned,
that was planned.
No.
That's some wild stuff.
Yeah. And so anyways, yeah, it's my birthday, man, and my mom, and she, of course, she's following along in the truck, and we top Alden Hill there, and we have that running club. Was it Wings? The Wings.
Yeah,
running group?
Wings. A whole running club come out. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was hot that day, so we're having conversations with a bunch of the runners and everything, and then there's people starting to follow us in vehicles. It's real slow and cheering us on. There's people on the side of the road.
They had their chairs, their lawn chairs pulled out there with little signs and stuff. It was pretty cool.
Were y'all ending? Sorry, Callup.
Go
on
ahead.
a reservation?
It's Indian country. It's not a reservation out there. Yeah, it's called Indian country. So basically, whenever the Trail of Tears finished in Stillwell, Oklahoma, they had this huge tract of land, and they're like, "This is yours." And so all those tribes settled in there and kind of just laid claim to that 2 different tracts of land out through there. And so that's how that got started. But, as we're coming running in and everything, I know that I stopped, and that was in that video, and I got, as an EBCI member, I didn't have an EBCI flag, and so I got 2 flags, the UKB and the Cherokee Nation, and I was like, talking about the importance of we're all Cherokee.
And you represent the EBCI,
right?
Though.
I didn't have to.
What
You are the flag.
Yeah.
What is the EBCI again?
The Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians.
Okay.
And that's the ones. That's where we're enrolled here in Cherokee, and then the other 2 are in Oklahoma.
Okay.
I really want to steal the whole language around having a clan, a tribe, and bands. I love that language, like how you guys have broken the what is it? I guess it's the whole population, Native American how you have that to identify with. I don't know. I'm jealous of that. I want to find some way to I don't know. I like it. Sorry.
You want to be in a clan,
dude? I mean, to be a part of like a band or a tribe. I mean, that to me is just so freaking cool, man.
Yeah, and there was a lot of competitiveness between the tribes, and that was important to me to kind of try to talk about breaking that, because you got people from our tribe saying we're the real Cherokees. We stayed and fought. We stayed and survived in these mountains and everything. You just went west, and that's really destructive thinking. That can hurt people, But that's a lot of the conversations that people have. And then the UKB and the Cherokee Nation are always at odds with one another over money, competitive casinos and land and all these different things. And so I was trying to bring some sense of unity, when I finished this race. Mm-hmm. So it turned into a few different things, not just my story, not just overcoming the addiction, anything like that, but just also trying to bring some sort of unity between our tribes.
Yeah.
And so, I put those flags on, and I was emotional. Here I come in the last mile, I guess, and it's this huge build up, and all these people clapping and cheering and everything, and just remembering, having the gratitude, man, just such a deep sense of gratitude from knowing where I was 8 months prior or 9 months prior, sitting in a jail cell with just a dream, in my heart, and just how it come, man, just full circle. And we finished the race or finished this journey, and had the chiefs out there to support me, talk to me. It was awesome, man. Had like this little event afterwards to celebrate finishing. And
some of their leadership came out. Some of our leadership
council members flew out there. Mm-hmm. So actually, let me back up. What was cool when we was in Missouri, it was on a Sunday. We was taking a day off. Katelynn looks up. What was the store we went to?
Oh, Sports. Academies.
We went to Academy Sports.
My thick thighs. My thick thigh problem. The thick thigh syndrome.
We show up at Academy. Katelynn walks in.
So I'd had really short shorts, and it's not good for women with thick thighs to run in short shorts. So I was getting chafing. And I kept telling Kallup, when you got a rest day, we need to go by a store so I can get some better shorts. And his rest day come up, and he was just so tired. He's ready to get back. He just wanted
aggravated,
to rest. He did not want to stop. And I was like, Kallup, I've got to get these shorts. And I was like looking it up, and I was like, look, it's just right here. It won't take 10 minutes. You don't even have to get out of the car. Let me run in, grab them, and come out. And as I'm going in, right there, they had like a little a patio table with chairs like that they were selling, and I see these bunch of natives sitting there in these chairs, and I was like, I know those
natives
people.
sitting in Oak, Missouri. What's going on here?
I knew those people, and it was the RTR riders. They started 12
days behind me on the northern route.
they started on a different route, and they were at
crisscross.
that academy getting them stuff, and here we come in, and we had no clue where they were at, where on their journey or anything like that. And I ran back and told Caleb, I was like, Bo Taylor's sitting out here. Like, the whole RTR crew was there. We all come out and prayed for one another, and
done the war call together.
Yeah, and
Bo
got
led us
to
in the war call.
take some pictures and stuff, and just how we got to meet up in that point. And here was Caleb, because they were all wondering too. I've heard plenty of them say they were like, we were wondering where you were. We've been keeping up with you and trying to see where you were at, wondering if we were going to cross paths.
It's really cool to hear that though, because you know it would have been easy for Caleb to have some animosity toward the RTR members, because that was initially the I guess organization or the event that he was told no because of his past, and he disagreed with that decision, obviously. But you know, that just goes to show me that this whole journey was bigger than just Caleb. It was bigger than his pride. It was, you know, it was something much deeper. The fact that you guys, it sounds like you had zero animosity toward those people that were on their own journey. And I don't know, that's pretty cool, because in my head, I'm thinking the whole time Caleb might be like, oh, I'm gonna beat these guys, or I don't even want to, you know, but that's not the way it was, man. But you could have just as easily had that attitude toward them, but you didn't.
This is similar to how he waited on you earlier
in
the workout.
Well,
it's just
I
a
guess
character
so.
thing.
Oh, that's a good analogy.
Yeah.
You connected that very well,
similar.
Brooke.
No, that's awesome.
And that's, you know, the chief, he's talked to me. He's like, what you done in that moment and how you said, you know what, I'll find another way. He's like, that's admirable, and we need more of our people to step up and do that, and to be leaders, and to be a trailblazer. And he's always you know, anytime I talk to him, it seems like we have that sort of conversation. He's like, you know, because he's an alum. The chief is. He done the RTR ride, and he was like, just the fact that you took another route and done this running. I mean, look at where you're at now. Like, you wouldn't have the platform and the ministry that you have if you just done the RTR.
Yeah,
like it was meant for it to happen this way.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You know, and just being acceptance, right, and being okay with that, and not being, you know, holding any kind of grudge or anger towards whatever, and just finding a different way. But
well, look, man, you reached your objective. I could only imagine, like you said, how that felt. And you know, my question is this, and this is a question I get a lot of times as I train people out in the wilderness, and I train teams and take people on missions. Is, you know, they reach their objective on a much smaller scale than what you did, but they say, you know, where do we go from here? And you had to have had that same question. It's like, man, this is a 8-month long training cycle, and then 46 day long mission. You hit your objective, it's over. Like, where do you go from there? You know what I mean?
What was that car ride back home like?
well, we laid in the dang motel room about 2 days, not being able to move.
Your mind finally let go.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
And then we got to bounce around, hang out with people out there in Tahlequah, and just meet people who we're connected to through churches and just different family members and stuff. I mean, we consider them our family out there. But once we got quiet and just kind of let everything settle, I remember having a conversation when I came back with some of the people in the recovery center, some of the therapists or peer support, and they're like, what's next? And I was like, I'm hungry. I'm hungry now. Like, I just got to put something on the calendar. And just honestly, I probably didn't, and you've talked about this, I didn't let it settle, or, you know, I didn't try to draw all the lessons that I could have drawn. I was already looking toward the next thing.
Yeah.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've said that to Katelynn several times. I'm like, I've not unpacked all this. There's so many lessons in there and gold nuggets in there I need to draw from that, but it's
a dang book. It's literally, you could, I'm sure, you know, you could easily write a very, very significant significantly valuable book just on that single experience.
How cool would it be too if you wrote that book and throughout the book, like you told your story, but in the places you were, you found older stories, like historical stories about what happened to particular people in that same place.
I'm going to go ahead and tell you, I would read it.
Though that would be a parallel, their story and your story. And
But that's all right. I mean, that's all right. You've got time you can be doing other things while you're unpacking the lessons that you got from your mission in 2018, which wasn't that long ago. I mean, I'm just unpacking lessons from experiences that I had 8, 9, 10 years ago. Really, I am. So that's cool, man.
Yeah.
Wait, did you guys have your nonprofit going into had you already
unofficially?
Unofficially.
We had a name and we had an idea, but after the run, that kind of catapulted us into like, okay, it's grind time. We have this vision. We got to get it down on a board. We got to start, forming our board and doing all these different things. And that's whenever it really started to come together. Mm-hmm. Because we did have this platform to be able to still, like, he was going a lot of different places speaking and like at different recovery events, those kind of or like some praise and worship events, things like that. And we really started trying to do more in our community as far as like outreach and things like that
in our community as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's kind of how the organization was birthed, though. And like I said, how we got the exposure and the platform, and we just continue to grow and build from there. We actually had an interview with a local news station in January of 2018 where we're standing in front of the house, and we're like, we're going to open up this house for men. And that was the first time we ever shared publicly what we had in mind, what we were wanting to do with our organization.
Yeah.
So this journey with the Trail of Tears was a more personal thing, but then it gave us, I guess, like I said, the exposure, right? And help people kind of know who we are and what we're standing, what our mission is.
Yeah, you have to do.
Yeah,
you have to create. You have to go do hard stuff. If you have a mission or you have a calling, or you have something that's on your heart that you want to accomplish, part of that is doing things like Kallup did, going out and doing an 800-mile run, right? It takes hard work to build that platform, man. That's why I hold the people that follow us, the people that listen to this show, the people that support us on Patreon, the people that follow me on Instagram, I hold them very dear to my heart, because it took work to get that. It took over a decade of work to get that platform. Yeah. So you guys that are listening, if you've got an idea for a nonprofit, if you've got a message that you want to put out, if you've got something on your heart that you want to accomplish in life, realize that goes hand in hand with you doing something special in order to generate interest around your message, your name, and what you have to offer the world. Mm-hmm. It just doesn't come free.
No.
Right? So what was it? What ended up being that next thing you said you were searching? What ended up being that next thing on the calendar?
Would you say the Pacific Coast Highway?
Yeah, that was
Pacific Coast Highway.
We just ended up, well, we started doing a lot of podcasting with one of our buddies, and like every week we were doing as a recovery podcast and interviewing people, were sharing their testimonies. And then there's Kallup always would be talking about, what are we going to do next? We got to figure out what we're doing next.
You got to have something on your calendar, man.
Yeah.
And Katelynn and my mom both were always getting aggravated with me because I was like, what's your goal for today? What you got planned today?
No, I would just open my eyes at like 6:45 in the morning, and that was the first question I got of the day was, well, what's your goal, baby?
You would get slapped.
Yeah, hold on just a minute, man. Let me get some coffee.
Yeah. That's my goal right now.
Yeah.
Is some coffee.
Your answer, yeah. Get some coffee. Is that something you subscribe to every day? Do you open your eyes in bed and be like, okay, Caleb, what's my goal for today?
Honestly, this is no joke. I open my eyes, and 75% of the time I turn on BYLR and kind of get up and start moving, make my coffee.
We did not pay him to say that, Jesse. He said it on its own.
I do. Caitlin's like shaking her head like it's 5 a.m. Caleb, you're starting a dance party.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's how I was when I was in jail. Like I started that discipline, right, and just getting up, getting after it, being gun ho, and I was the same way. Guys were sleeping upstairs in their bunks, and I was downstairs walking laps, doing push-ups. Getting in the mirror, like trying to telling myself I love you, you're amazing, and actually trying to fall in love with myself again and believe in myself. Yeah. And that's how I still do things, But if it wasn't for being in that jail, what can look like a prison is actually a promise a lot of times, And that's how God just changed me, man. And I still do that today.
Dude, we could have a whole another podcast on that, on coming out of all the terrible things that you've done and you're willing to talk about and you're not ashamed of. It doesn't seem like you are. No. And learning to love yourself again.
Yeah.
And that process, dude, that would be a whole nother hour of.
Well, I mean, Caleb will write a few books, so we'll be able to get that.
My pastor says, man, you're a Disney movie waiting to happen.
You even look like a Disney character to me.
He does. He tells me that all the time. Because I talked about like going and trying out for walking on for the cross country team locally. He's like, that'll be it. That'll seal the Disney movie if you do that. Like, man comes out of jail, it's a heroin, struggling with heroin addiction, and then you come back and you do something that you were supposed to do, 20 years prior. Like, anyways, who knows, man?
Well, unless you have something else, I want to dig a little bit into the details of y'all's nonprofit and like how people can support you and what your mission is.
Yeah, 100%. What is the mission of Res Hope?
So I think that coming from the run and biking, all our ultra endurance stuff that we do, like we're huge on advocacy for recovery. Not only just recovery, but just for being more healthy and as far as mentally, spiritually, emotionally,
mind, body, spirit.
Yeah. I mean, we're not just solely like you have to be in recovery to come, be a part of what we're doing. Like we just want to see people lead, push themselves, set some goals, push yourself to want to have, do more in life and just grow and become better than you was yesterday. And,
be all that God created you to be. And so, like I said a few minutes ago, the vision is to build this house or to remodel this house.
Which was a trap house to begin with.
Yeah. A lot of drug use going on in that place. In the whole holler that the house and the other house is on.
Yeah, shows the transformation that one can go through.
Yeah.
And in our house
this
itself.
is on your reservation.
On the reservation, yeah.
Right? Okay.
So we're going to be serving enrolled members and non-enrolled members as well. And it's so cool because the house itself, one of the women, a cousin of ours, we call her Linda Loco. She's hilarious. You might meet her one day. Anyways, so Linda, it was her house. And she seen what I wanted to do. And so she told my mom, like, if you give me one of your rentals, I'll sign this house over to you guys so Caleb can do something good with it. So that's what happened. She signed the house over to us. Well, her aunt, who owns a house right beside that, she signs the house over. Okay, and then there's a church right beside those two houses that my dad built. So this is all within a 100-yard area. Mm-hmm. And I feel like God is going to give that church to us as well at some point.
Yeah.
So we'll have this whole little community that we can build our ministry on. Mm-hmm. 2 houses and a church. And so that's the vision, is to open up this men's recovery house. And it's going to be built on faith, fitness, and just fellowship and nutrition, learning how to take care of yourself and challenge yourself. And we finally got our nonprofit. What was that, about a year ago now? 6 months?
Yeah, 6 months.
Yeah, it was right in the middle of COVID that we got our nonprofit.
And it's Rez, R-E-Z, Hope?
Rez Hope.
R-E-Z.
Yep, R-E-Z, Hope, recovery and consulting.
Okay.
Because we do a lot. We've spoken to 10,000 students in the last 2 years, sharing our stories, our testimonies, and just talking about the importance of challenging yourself and making good decisions and community and those relationships. And yeah, I mean, we got a lot of different irons in the fire, do a lot of different things, and like that's the focus though, is speaking to the youth and building this men's recovery house. That's the two things that we're focused on the most right now.
And you this is going to be a place that you can actually bring men that have decided they want to get clean. You can bring them in, and you're going to spend 6 to 9 months with these men, developing them, helping them through that journey, providing them with the resources, the skills, the abilities to go out and be productive again, right? Re-experience or relearn the fullness of life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We were talking about yesterday, and I was telling Katelynn, like, their experience is going to be so unique because there are a lot of other houses like that, sober living, halfway, whatever you want to call them, but they're holding these people, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, y'all are going to be holding these men accountable to, like you said, health and fitness and setting goals. And like, if they want to live in that house, they're going to have to sign up for some kind of endurance event and push them. Like, y'all aren't gonna, I mean, it's not going to be an easy road to recovery, but gosh, like, it's going to be
here's
so
the thing.
great.
It's like anything that we're asking them to do,
We're already doing it.
we're going to do it ourselves. Like, we're not going to ask you to sign up for something that we're not doing ourselves and that has actually worked in our own lives, and that's the difference. Like, we want to create something that's different and that we have seen is working. Mm-hmm. And we learn so much by pushing ourselves, by challenging ourselves, by getting out there and doing these endurance type adventures. And we want them to experience something like that, just like I was telling you with like the running community, that fellowship that bond that you can experience with these other runners, or like the CrossFit family, how you form these bonds and you become like family. And that's what we want them to experience.
Those relationships.
And we want that to help them prosper even after they leave, and to continue to do those things. Like, I mean, I know when if I stop working out or if I stop exercising and I just become lazy for a week or something, and I'm off. I'm completely off. I'm irritable. I start getting overwhelmed or depressed or all these different things. Too. And then I'm questioning, like, why am I feeling like this? Go on a run. Yeah. Go exercise. Like, take care of yourself, not just by settling and not just, which I'm so proud of people that can do that can just live a life where they're recovered, they're working, they're going through the daily routines.
But there's levels to it.
Right. Like,
different. Missing out on an opportunity to become a better version of yourself, a stronger version of yourself, more resilient, right?
Yeah, and for me, like, using always had, like, I feel like drug addicts are so hypersensitive to the way we feel. Because when you were using, you're constantly thinking, how high am I? Am I at my peak? Is this, how long, I feel good. How long is this going to last? Or you're starting withdrawals and you're feeling terrible. And so I feel like it's necessary for drug addicts, especially, I'm not an alcoholic, I don't know, to cater to that. And that's part of the recovery, is to stay feeling good.
Yeah.
And you do that by exercising.
Well, another thing too is, I just think the benefits of like doing an endurance event and getting into a fitness routine, you learn to deal with emotions and overcome those things.
And pain.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, exactly.
Discomfort.
Like,
you learn to deal with that.
Yeah. How are you going to handle it? Because things in life happen. You know, like things in life are going to come up, and how are you going to handle it whenever that does? And we have learned
it's transferable. Like getting through a hard workout, a hard run definitely helps you to get through a hard day. You know,
look, this is
very relatable.
This is the whole reason I ultra run. It goes back to the concept in the SEAL teams of train like you fight. You know, you train yourself, mind, body, soul, and spirit in a controlled environment. So, like when Katelynn said, life happens, right? You have actually built the tools, the mind, the mental, physical, emotional tools in that controlled environment. That is physical training and endurance. You've built those tools in a safe place so that when life happens, they're accessible. You know, when it really counts. That's the whole reason I run, man. And I think that goes back to man. And here's the thing too. You know, Brooke said I think there are a lot of recovery facilities out there, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you they didn't feel too accessible when Brooke decided that she wanted to get clean, because that was the first thing. I don't know how many there are spread across the nation, but it didn't seem like a friendly, warm, welcoming, like easy to find, accessible thing. So however many there are, there's not enough, obviously, because that was the biggest hurdle, I think, for us initially, is finding a place. And I could only imagine how many other people out there that are addicts and, you know, they're ready to change their lives and get clean. How many of them go through that same struggle of, dang, well, where do I even start? Where do I go? You know what I mean?
I think a lot of that, I mean, that was 2013 or so when we started that journey. And I think that a lot of good people like you guys are working to take the stigma and the shame that goes with, like, you can more openly ask and talk about addiction and treatment, and some people still, you know, go back into their turtle shell and they get uncomfortable, you know, because they don't understand it. But I think since 2013, as a nation, we're working hard to take the shame out of it. And so people can seek treatment and talk about it, and it can be public. And, you know, a rehab facility goes in your neighborhood or your community. People need to be, like, grateful for that. They don't need to be like, oh, gosh, you know, I don't want those types around here.
Well, and then and then the thing that you guys are doing, incorporating all the other aspects, the physical aspects, the mental toughness aspects, all those things, incorporating that into it is just totally unique. I never even heard of, and of course, you know, I'm not an expert, but I've never heard of any other facilities that are doing that, or even have the vision to do that.
Well, and
maybe on a small scale, but it's not really a main thread or vein of the actual process.
20 more years, though, everyone's going to be mirroring Res Hope, and they're going to be talking about, like, man, y'all remember when in 2021 when Res Hope came up with this idea? And, you know.
You remember?
I'll receive that, Brooke.
Yeah,
Thank you.
We'll go ahead and take that.
Go ahead and say that was a word from the Lord right there. God speaking through you.
You remember You remember the first bike ride we took,
dude,
when you got back?
And that's why it's so awesome. It was so painful, y'all. When I was in a place where I felt terrible. I was still kind of like post-acute withdrawal syndrome. Like a month later, I still felt like crap. And moving and exercising in that state is so hard. And that's why it's so perfect that you two are the ones doing this. Because if Chad would have came to me running Res Hope and he was like, look, girl, you'll feel better. You got to get out and exercise. I would have been like, bite me. Like, you don't have any clue what I'm going through. You don't, like you said, you guys have been there. And I feel like your level of empathy and compassion for what these people are going to experience when they start doing the things that y'all are going to hold them accountable to do.
She's going to be the compassionate and empathy. Because I'm going to be like looking at him at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. What are your goals for today? Let's get it.
I I can see Caleb walking up in there 6 o'clock in the morning, clapping, wake up, like everyone up, we're going for a run.
We might have to get a little speaker and that'll be like the
come
first
busting in
question
like
of the
Chad
day.
and hollering at them.
Hey, that's a great dynamic though, because some of the men that you guys are going to save there, some of the lives that you guys are going to save, so that style's gonna resonate with some of those men, and that's gonna be what some of them need, and then some of them it's not. Some of them is gonna need
compassion and velvet touch and
what we hope is that after they leave from there, that they can pull back from those things and know, like, I got through those things. I can get through this, like even after
be transformed by the renewing of your mind. What better way to do it? Through prayers, through spiritual disciplines, through going through tough training, physical training. And that's what we want to do. That's what we want to put the gift and the tools that we want to give these men is be able to pull from those experiences.
How can our listeners, how can they best help you guys? What do you guys need? Where can people go? Because there's going to be a certain percentage of people that want to know that they contribute to this, and I'm one of them. I'm going to make a contribution to you guys before you leave. So where can that be done, and what do you need?
So we don't have a website yet, but we're on
Facebook.
We are on Facebook. There is a public page for Res Hope. Could be just because, like, right now we're in the process of the remodeling and construction part of the house, but we are picking up on the pace of getting the program implemented, and then we'll need, being nonprofit, and it's so hard for us to get to this point because we're pretty humble, but as far as like private donors, that's going to be a key piece in running this funding this place, and so that we're able to
people to sew in monthly, whether it's $50, whatever people feel led to do. Yeah. That's going to be an important critical piece that we're going to have is start building that donor base.
Yeah.
So I definitely want to extend that invitation to anybody listening.
And do you guys have like an email address or message you guys on Facebook?
Message us on Facebook.
Okay, and it's REZ Hope.
Yes.
Right?
Yep, on Facebook. And it's a public page.
Okay.
So
perfect.
Yeah, and I'll attach that in the show notes of this episode. And here's the thing, man. You guys don't be scared to ask for whatever you need throughout the rest of the journey. And this is just my advice to you guys, even if it because look, it takes money to make things like this happen. That's just the way it is. And what I've experienced is that people that do have, say, a surplus of money, a lot of those people, like my buddy Scott Worthington, he says, look, money's just a resource. It's a resource. If I have extra, I want to find things that I can sow that money into, because I can't do what you guys are doing. Just like Brooke said a minute ago, I cannot do the job that you guys are about to do. I cannot do it. I don't have the background. I don't have the experiences. I cannot resonate with these individuals like you guys are going to be able to. But maybe I have a little extra money, and so it's okay. It's okay to ask, to tell people what you're doing, to tell people what you need, and people are going to love knowing that they can be a part of a mission that they could not accomplish themselves, but at least they can be some part of it, and keeping it up and running, man. Because, what, baby?
Sorry. And I'm trying to think of how to word this. Like, I don't know how to say it, really. I haven't come up with the right way, but like, a lot of people talk about how terrible what we did to the Native Americans was. And I know, like we talked about this weekend, it was our ancestors, it wasn't us, blah, blah, blah. But, I mean, this is a really good way almost to pay like a reparation, because most of the people that you guys are serving are Native Americans. And we've talked about the generational trauma from what they went through, and you guys are trying to repair that and break the cycle, right? And so if someone's putting money into it, it just goes so far back.
Yeah.
You know, the support is so deep.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of truth to that. I by no means do I think Katelynn and Kallup even probably look at it that way.
No, and that's why, yeah.
You know,
definitely, I shouldn't have used the word reparation. I didn't know how to word that. My bad.
You gotta think too. I mean, Katelynn and Kallup, their vision is to also bring in non-enrolled people to this program. So this is going to be a program that's offered to really a certain portion of it's going to be offered to anybody. Yeah, and I like that. That you guys are opening are going to reserve certain spots for men that are not enrolled, because to me that takes it to a whole nother level. You're basically not pigeonholing yourself. You know, you're not putting all your eggs in one single basket, right? So, I mean, I like that about your mission, man.
Yeah. Well, right now we are getting ready to order the flooring. We're getting the windows put in. Trim's going up in the house. Things are coming together. Cabinets have been measured out, getting ready to be ordered. We're going to be adding a room onto the back deck, be enclosing that, and that's going to be a meeting room. So that's going to be something that we'll be asking for funding for, if anybody wants to donate and sew into that, is adding on to that meeting room for counseling services and whatever, just small groups and stuff. So yeah, I mean, there's several different projects that we're in the middle of that we could always use help on. We're going to be also doing outside work, landscaping stuff around the house. That's going to be coming up as well. So anything that anybody donates will be going to those things first. Just kind of give a picture and context of where we're at with the house.
And then, sorry.
Oh, no. I'll go ahead. Go ahead, Katelynn.
I was just going to say that the cool thing about it is, like, if you do follow us on Facebook and follow the Res Hope page, then you'll get to see, like, exactly what's going on with the guys, and eventually, and how this program is helping them, and that's what lives. You're sewing into. That's what people. Yeah. So at what cost? You're sewing into.
Well, you're sewing into an eternal impact, literally an eternal impact. Not only are you talking about saving a single life eternally, right? Because faith is going to be part of your program, but you also look at we talked a lot about the generational thing. And that is also, another eternal generational impact, that this is you save one man's eternal life, but then you also, in turn, this is going to just snowball throughout the generations in that line, that bloodline, that family, right? So there's no more worthy cause than that. And I wanted to also, in the midst of this project, and it's no small feat to be taking on the I don't even want to call it burdens, but taking on the responsibility and the project that you guys have taken on with Res Hope. You guys are serving within your community full time alongside standing this project up. Kallup, you work at the homeless shelter.
It's outside of Cherokee. Yeah. Katelynn works at the Cherokee Hospital.
Yeah.
So we're getting a lot of exposure and experience with people that we're going to be serving, though.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I feel like God's placed us in those positions just for that reason.
Yeah.
Because we're getting ready to step into a new season, and then we'll be prepared, right?
Yep. I mean, both of those are tremendous places of service. Like you said, you're already getting your mind's already right, but you're getting your foot in the door, and it's just, I just wanted to make mention of that. All right, guys, we're gonna wrap this episode up. Kallup, where can people find you on IG, your personal page?
Yeah, my personal page, underscore recovery line 86, or just search my name, and it's Kallup, McCoy, McCoy. Facebook, same thing, Kallup McCoy II.
How about you, Katelynn?
My Instagram is GWY_Lioness. or search my name, Katelynn, Ledford-McCoy. And same thing on Facebook, and then always like we said earlier, our Res Hope public page.
Roger that. Look, guys, in my opinion, this is again the most powerful conversation that we've had on the 3-7 podcast. And everybody's different, but this conversation has been powerful in so many ways, and it's resonated with me in so many ways, and I've taken so many things away from this conversation. I mean, I think I'm going to do Resurrected tonight, the message that I present to, my community on Patreon. It's going to be based off of something that you guys taught me in this episode. It's just, I can't thank you enough for your, not only the time and the commitment, but the courage to come and just pour into our audience and everybody that listens to this. You guys raised your hand and said, I will go, right? When we tried to record this episode a few weeks ago online and the internet was cutting out, and I just, for some reason, I was just being prompted. I truly believe this. I was being prompted by the Holy Spirit to just stop Caleb mid-sentence, basically, and be like, hey, man, will you guys drive 3.5, 4 hours out here and spend the weekend with us and do it live? And you guys both got stuff going on, man. You could have just as easily said, nah, we're going to be busy. I'll try to get a better internet signal. But no, you raised your hand and you said, yeah, I believe in our mission enough. I believe in our testimony enough. I believe in all this enough that I'm going to make the commitment and make the drive out to do this live and to share this with everybody that is willing to listen. And it will not come back void.
Walk by faith and not by sight.
That's it.
Show up.
That's it. You got anything, Biscuit?
No. I had a great time with y'all this weekend. I'm grateful y'all came out in person instead of doing that interview. I have a feeling that this relationship won't go anywhere, that we'll continue to keep in touch and get together.
Yeah. She means like won't go anywhere, like won't go away.
won't disappear.
Well, this relationship will continue to prosper.
Y'all, my words.
It's okay, Biscuit.
My words. I can't with my words.
Well, we're honored.
We
so
are.
Honored
Thank you for the opportunity.
To been able to come up here, and I'm just blown away by how genuine you guys are, and we've been following you for a while, and it's awesome to be able to fellowship and just connect and just to be able to get to know one another. So we truly, this whole weekend has been amazing, and I wouldn't have wanted it to go any other way than for us to come out here and spend time.
Yeah.
We'll have to follow this up, man. Mount LeConte.
Oh, yeah.
Tennessee.
Oh, yeah.
Get y'all up.
We got I'm hoping Caleb's going to be able to come out to the Proving Grounds next weekend. I actually, invited him to come out and possibly even speak. Again, that's whatever's on your heart, man, whatever you're able to do, no pressure. We got a lot of great things in the future. We really look forward to following you guys and the mission of Res Hope and your own personal missions. So, hey, guys, thanks for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed this as much as I did. Go follow Kallup and Katelynn on Instagram, on Facebook. Follow their mission. And if you've got the resources to do it, help support them, because what they're doing is worthwhile. They're making an eternal impact in the nation that we all live in, the people that we love. I did want to ask if Katelynn would honor us with her Amazing Grace in Cherokee.
Oh my gosh, he just shotgunned the crap out of you.
Yeah, just to cap it all off.
Hey, when in Rome, Georgia, baby. You gotta do it.
Oh my God.
I'd be honored.
Will you acquiesce my request?
I will.
All right,
I'll
sing.
do it.
Will you sing into Caleb's microphone?
Yeah.
Does she need to stay as close, or does she need to back up?
Just wherever she's comfortable.
Okay.
Yeah, she can be a little back from it, I think, just as long as she's talking into it.
Is that good?
Yep, perfect.
Okay.
All right, guys, this is Amazing Grace in
How do you say it? Salagi?
Yeah, Salagi is Cherokee. So this is just a verse. I don't know the whole entire song, but so yeah, this is our native language that I'm going to sing for you guys. Une lana iu wenti iga guya hey nai kwa josa we lo say inga guya hana.
Wow.
Praise Jesus. Enough said.
That's sad.
Oh my God.